What is going on, Pats Nation, and welcome back into another post-game show here on the Patriots Global Show. Here, as always, is my boy Rob, also known as Patriots7 on Instagram. Make sure you guys go ahead and give him that follow over on Insta. Here to break down the New England Patriots Week 6 win on the road against the New Orleans Saints in a game where the Patriots are able to ultimately squeak this one out 25-19. A game that is everything that I expected it to be, okay? I said, Rob, that this is exactly how this game was going to go. And it felt like even during the watch party, there were a lot of fans that were like, what are we doing? How are we not winning by more? What is the defense doing? Why are we giving up this many points to the Saints? And it's like, you look at the Saints record, they've only won one game, and it came last week. But if you look at the majority of their games this season, this is a team that, whether it was against the Cardinals, whether it was against the Bills 2 weeks ago, they play close games and they play hard. And I do not believe personally that the record of the New Orleans Saints is a showcase to how that team has actually performed and how close they've performed. At the end of the day, a win is a win and a loss is a loss, and that's all that matters in the National Football League. But you can't just look at a team's record to decide if they're good or bad. You got to look at a lot of other stats that go behind it. And although they've only won one game, the Saints have played hard football all season long on both sides of the football. Defensively, they got some good guys, especially on that D-line. They got Levante David at linebacker. Offensively, I think some Patriots fans really underestimated what this team could do. Spencer Rattler, really good in the pocket. I mean, this is a team that under Spencer Rattler this season doesn't take sacks. They don't turn the football over. He gets the football out really, really quick. You got a lot of speed on that offense with Kamara. You also have Miller lining up there at running back behind Kamara. You also have at wide receiver, you have Rashid Shaheed, you have Brandon Cooks, you have Chris Olave. I think people underestimated maybe just how good this team can be. And I said this was going to be a trap game. This is going to be a game that is going to come close. I expect the Patriots to win, but it's going to come close. So, Rob, just heading into this game, because I know we weren't able to do a preview this week, what were just your expectations heading into this game? Were you expecting a blowout, or were you expecting a close game like it was?
I expected a close game. This is a team that just doesn't give up points. The problem with the Saints team, and now everybody's been racking their brain as to why they just aren't, the record's not better. It's just that they're not putting up points. This is a team that with Spencer Rattler doesn't turn over the football. The guy just doesn't put the ball in harm's way. Coming into the game, he had 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. They don't fumble the ball either. On top of that, they were top 3 in giveaways and top 3 in takeaways. They had three turnovers all season, and they forced a lot of turnovers. They had 8 turnovers. So this is an opportunistic team that just, they just can't put up enough points. I think Spencer Rattler is definitely a developing quarterback. I think they have something brewing all over there with the Saints. I just think that, just like us, they're figuring it out. Brand new head coach and Kellen Moore, and just like Spencer Rattler's coming into year 2. That's a draft class where you had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, etc., etc. Spencer Rattler, people regarded him, if he wasn't so much of he really was a detriment to himself. They did a documentary while he was in high school, and he was just, I don't know how to put it any other way other than calling him a douchebag. That hurt his draft stock. He really was a douche. But the problem is that follows you wherever you go at every level. And now he's proving that he probably could have been a first-round pick or not. Maybe a second-round pick. I don't know. But this is a Saints team that, they're really, really good at home. They only give up an average of 221.6 yards at home, rushing only 105.3 yards. They're 11th against the pass. This is a team that just doesn't, their bend don't break, just like us. They don't give up home run. They only give up 326.9 yards at home. This is a team that can compete with, I want to say, just about anyone, and they proved that against the Bills and against us.
Yeah, and I know that people will look back at the Bills game and be like, what do you mean? The Bills won by multiple possessions. The Bills got a garbage time touchdown. Leading into the fourth quarter, that game was one possession. It was back and forth. There were possession changes. There were points where the Saints were winning that football game, but people go ahead and they box score watch. You got to actually know what's going on with these games, because I remember 2 weeks ago looking at that game saying, wow, the Saints might actually pull off the upset against the Bills. Bills got the last minute lead, garbage time touchdown, and that's why their lead ultimately extended and looked better. And by the way, let's just make it clear. The New England Patriots also aren't in the caliber of the Buffalo Bills. And I think people get that confused sometimes, because even when I'm talking to people that are hating on the Patriots, it's like, yeah, well, y'all aren't going to win the division. You guys aren't going to make a deep playoff run. It's like, that's not the expectations of this team. The fact that we're beating up on bad teams, the fact that we're competing for the division, the fact that we beat a team like Buffalo in their house, the caliber of team they are, I think that this New England Patriots team is playing better than what's expected of them year one. Because, Rob, to me, a successful season for New England was just doubling their win total over the last 2 seasons. Could this team get to 8 wins and get better as the season has gone along? And they have. But not just that, they are competing for the playoffs. So I think this New England Patriots team is way above expectations compared to what we originally thought they were going to be.
I mean, people thought this team wasn't going to win too many games to begin with, right? It was either hit or miss. It was either people think that we're going to make the playoffs or we're not going to be good at all. People said, "Oh, Mike Vrabel, hack of a head coach." Going when we were 1-2, right? We matched our win total last year, which we got by week 18 against the Buffalo Bills, which they honestly just gave us that game. Where are the Mike Vrabel haters at now? I'm curious. Where are you? But this Patriots team, this is the first time we've won 3 games in a row since October of what was it? Is it October? Yeah, of 2022, the 2022 season.
Oh, was it 2022?
So, yes, 2022 was the last time the Patriots won 3 games in a row.
Wow.
This team, look, I think we're going to play spoiler this year. We already matched our win total last year. I'm not saying that we should rest on our laurels and this is how we should just mail it in now. I'm saying that, like, we're already exceeding expectations by a lot. Nobody expected this. And honestly, this could have been a blowout. These refs really made this a game where it didn't need to be. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Spencer Rattler and the Saints. They did their thing. But there are too many times and too many big plays that I'm like scratching my head and I'm like, what the hell was that?
No, I absolutely agree. And we're going to break down all those plays for you guys, because I think before we get into each position, really break down this game, we have to talk about the storyline. And it's a storyline that not just Patriots fans are talking about. It's a storyline that the entire league is talking about. And that's the terrible, terrible refereeing in this game. I mean, it was so bad that the referee in this game had to come out after the conclusion of this and make a statement on some of the calls. But big shout out to Eric, massive $20 donation. We appreciate you, Eric. He says, I thought this would be a trap game, more so because the Patriots roster and coaching staff outside of Vrabel and McDaniels haven't felt this type of success. But this became a trap game because of officiating. Dear Lord. Eric, I think you hit on it absolutely perfectly. We all expected it to be a trap game, right? We were all concerned that you get this massive win. How are they going to rally this team together? And I still feel like the team didn't play as well as maybe I was expecting, maybe a little bit still high off of that win, but nonetheless, they didn't allow it to get away from them. They won this game. They did what they needed to do. And that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And like you said, this game was ultimately closer. And Rob, like you said, ultimately closer because of what the refs did. But again, at the end of the day, a win is a win and a loss is a loss. The game ended up being what we projected it to be. Big shout out to Eric. Tony comes in here. Tony, man, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry. Tony, $2 donation. Showing love. We appreciate you, Tony. I am sending you positive vibes. I don't say that to a lot of Jets fans, but Tony, I am sending you positive vibes, my guy, because
that makes one of us.
0-6 is a rough mental place to be in. Trust me, I understand that. So I'm sending you love, my guy. Keep your
I'm not. Sorry, I'm petty.
I hope we still beat you, but nothing but love for you, Tony.
I hope we dog walk you.
Nothing but love, Tony. But Rob, let's go ahead and let's get into some of these calls about the refs. Now, I posted a video here on my YouTube Shorts and on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all the platforms, breaking down some of the biggest calls that the refs did not make. Now, unfortunately, I cannot show you guys the plays just due to copyright reasons. And so therefore, I broke down a couple plays over on TikTok and Twitter. Follow me over there on Patriots Global if you want to see, more of my in-depth breakdowns of those plays. but I'm at least going to reference each of the plays. And I'm certainly leaving some of the plays out here, Rob, but these were the big ones to me that the refs missed. So the big one early on in this game, that's what really started this refereeing carousel, was offensive pass interference on Stephon Diggs that took away a 61-yard touchdown from Pop Douglas. Pop Douglas, who had a 53-yard touchdown just the drive before, should have had 2 touchdowns and should have had over 100 yards in just the Patriots' first 2 offensive series. Now, the Patriots were still able to drive down the field, get into the end zone. They capitalized with a Kayshon Boutte touchdown, but nonetheless, a massive, massive screw over on the Patriots on that play, which, by the way, they called offensive pass interference on Stephon Diggs, where he really didn't do anything, but not even that. They called the flag on him after the touchdown was celebrated, after the New England Patriots offense was
that
on
was
the
crazy.
sideline. The kicking unit came out. It took the refs another 30 to 60 seconds to throw the flag in the air after the play occurred to say that that's a flag. If you need to think about for that long if it's a flag or not, you should not be throwing the flag. You see it, you throw it up. If you have to think about it, chances are nothing happened because now your judgment is clouded, but they still called it nonetheless. So, Rob, just what were your first thoughts on that play specifically, the first offensive pass interference on Diggs that wiped away the Demario Douglas 61-yard touchdown?
I mean, the guy was pulling on Stephon Diggs' arm. Like, what do you want him to do at that situation? They wiped away a Demario Douglas career game, and I've been the guy that's been literally saying, I don't want him. Like, he's starting to piss me off because he wasn't performing. This is a game that he made me shut the hell up. Finally made me shut the hell up because, like, I was rooting for the guy. I don't want him to not perform. But, like, there's just too many ticky-tack. Like, he held Stephon Diggs' arm. Like, what? We had Ray Charles at refs today. I couldn't believe how many times I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? But that particular play, he held his damn arm.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like it looked worse than it was in reality. It's just one of those situations where it's like, what did you want Stephon Diggs to do? Like, if you look at it, it's really the defender that's making Diggs look worse. But like I said, there was a question asked to the ref about this specific play after the game. The question was, what was seen to call offensive pass interference on Stephon Diggs that nullified a touchdown catch by Demario Douglas? Adrian Hill said, on that play, we ruled blocking downfield by number 8 early during the play. So if there is a situation where a player blocks downfield, it's not a foul until a pass is thrown. So you kind of put that in the bank. And then the pass was thrown downfield later. That created the offensive pass interference. Keep in mind, they didn't throw the flag until the Patriots kicking unit was out. Another question, and this was the follow-up question. Mechanically, with the later timing of the penalty and subsequent announcement as both teams had their special teams unit on the field, how did that unfold with the timing? Hill says, the official was processing the play, and then he came to me over the 020, which is the official communication system for the refs. And he said, because it was a long developing play, he had to rewind back to what happened at the beginning of the play and process that. So to me, just sounds like a whole bunch of BS. It sounds bogus. You don't see flags like that thrown that late because, oh, we had to take our time. Again, if you have to take your time that quick, chances are it's not a penalty. It's just a BS excuse.
If you want to think about it, that long, exactly, it shouldn't be a penalty. If you really have to think about it, this is something that's like, you see the play, you throw the flag, not the other way around. I think maybe the thing that they were processing was the ass whooping Drake May was giving them, because I think that's what they were processing, because at that point Drake May was 6 for 6 for 117 yards. He was going off.
Rob, I want to get into the next penalty here because there's quite a few. And these aren't in any specific order. These are just what I wrote down because I wanted to reference them in today's live stream. Let's just go with the other Stephon Diggs offensive pass interference, because the Patriots had 3 penalties back to back to back. This was their second to last offensive drive. It is 3rd and long. It's like 3rd and 15 at this point, 3rd and 18 at this point. Drake May delivers a bomb down the field to seal the game to to Stephon Diggs. Diggs catches the ball. What happens? Flag on the play. They call another offensive pass interference on Stephon Diggs, saying he pushed off the guy, which was another bogus call. What happens? Patriots get backed up even more. Now it's like 3rd and 18, 3rd and 20. What happens? Drake May goes another bomb down the field to Matt Collins. Matt Collins isn't able to reel it in because the defender is hanging on of him for defensive pass interference. What happens? The refs don't call it. Literally the play before you call Stephon Diggs on offensive pass interference, the exact play after in a pivotal 3rd down moment, all eyes are on Matt Collins and Drake May. And the refs don't call defensive pass interference. What were your thoughts on that one?
I don't know, man. He was being mugged. It felt like they gave them every opportunity to keep. I don't know if they had the Saints money line or what it was. They gave the Saints every opportunity to stay in this game, and thankfully it didn't transpire that way because like he's literally hanging all over him. Where is the flags? These are the same refs that were officiating the Rams and Saints game back then. They're just trying to make up for it.
Are they really?
Oh no, I was just guessing.
Oh, I was about to say, if that's the case, that actually makes a ton of sense. But
I'm actually curious if that's actually true.
Maybe it's like the brother of the guy, and he's like, "Look, dude, I messed up a few years ago. I need to be in good graces with the Saints. Just get them to win this game." Maybe, you never know. But Rob, another call that really pissed me off, and just another reason that it felt like, okay, the refs are just trying to give the Saints another opportunity to win this game because it's down by 6. You know, if the Saints get into the end zone and they get the extra point, they're winning by 1 late into this game. But the New England Patriots on that final offensive drive, it's 3rd down, 2 minutes and 33 seconds left in the game. Drake May clutch to the MVP of the game in wide receiver Kayshon Boutte. Toe taps, stays in bounds, makes the 1st down catch. They call it a 1st down, but they say that Kayshon Boutte goes out of bounds. And why is this big? This is big because then the clock stops at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. The Saints don't have any timeouts at this point. So with this, with the potential of this is what could happen is if the Saints stop the Patriots on that drive, the Saints could still have enough time to get the ball back and at least have an opportunity. It would be a miracle, but still have an opportunity to somehow have a big play down the field, get into the end zone, and win the game. You have Mike Vrabel go over to the refs and say, "What are you talking about? He was in bounds the whole time. The clock should be stopping," which in that case would bring the Patriots down to the 2-minute drill with a 1st down coming out of the 2-minute drill to finish the game. And they go, oh, that's our bad. Yeah, that's right. Guys, let's rewind. The Patriots put 40 seconds on the clock and 2 minutes and 33 seconds left into the game. I mean, that's an absolute game changer of a call if you don't call that correctly. I mean, you don't even know that this Patriots wide receiver is in bounds on a crucial 1st down catch to seal the game. Any thoughts on that one?
I think that's the difference between them getting the ball back and we possibly punting the football because of where it was at. It was 2 minutes and 33 or somewhere around that range. We get that 1st down. He's tackled in bounds. Then we literally, all that happens is this restarts the play clock, the 40 seconds. You run out the clock. They had no timeouts. We kneel it out. It's over. But it took Mike Vrabel and Stretch be like, wait a second. That was in bounds. Why is the clock stopped? Like, if there was any indication, screw all those other plays. That was the biggest play that told me, hey, listen, who the hell is paying this game? Like, I don't like to blame refs, but this was like the biggest game where it's like, oh my God, this is egregious. This is terrible. To the point where, was it Gene Stellator for that fumble play where they literally had to go, the guy literally looked at one camera Then he went and sprinted down the field to look at another camera, and Gene Steratore is like, "Yeah, that's a fumble." He didn't, even the analysts were like, "Yeah, that's a fumble." If there was any indication that was a fumble, it was a freaking fumble. He didn't repossess the football. It came out. Christian Ellis, hell of a freaking play. But like what the hell? To the point, like literally, the guy that literally is the best at what he does, Gene Steratore, was like, "Yeah, that's a fumble." I don't know. He basically was like, "I don't know why you're like still dragging this."
No, yeah, hey, go Pats, my man. I appreciate the love, but what you mean, man? We're just talking.
Oh, my blood pressure.
Saints, yeah, it's the Saints are relevant in this game. That's why we're talking about them. But Rob, that's another call that I did want to get into because Mike Vrabel had to make 2 challenges today. That's how bad the refs were. That Mike Vrabel not only had to coach this game, but Mike Vrabel had to do the job of the refs also. 2 challenges, both won by him in this game. Great job by him. Great job by Stretch. Great job by everybody up there in the booth to make sure that these calls were coming in correctly. But one of the biggest ones is, late into the game, 4th quarter, Patriots still up by 6. Saints are driving down the field. They get the pass to the tight end. The tight end fumbles because you have Christian Ellis come in, knock the football out. Big play by Christian Ellis after some of the plays he was making and giving up earlier on in the game. The refs try to call that an incomplete pass, and we're all here like, what do you mean? That's a fumble. And they try to get to the next play. What does Mike Vrabel do? He challenged it. Like you said, looks at one screen, sprints down to another screen, comes back, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, our bad. That is a fumble. New England Patriots take over." The other challenge that Mike Vrabel had was the New England Patriots get into the end zone. They're going for a 2-point conversion to go up by 6 points. What happens? They sneak it after a penalty on the Saints. Quarterback sneak it with Drake May. Drake May very clearly gets over the pylon. He breaks the line. He's in. It's a 2-point conversion because as soon as he breaks it, that's considered a successful either touchdown or 2-point conversion. In this case, 2-point conversion. They immediately say Drake May did not get it. What happens? Mike Vrabel was like, "What in God's name do you mean he didn't get it? We all saw he got it. We all saw him break it." Throws the flag. You go back and you look at the replay from 3 different angles. You can see Drake May break, and they go, "Yep, our bad." That was a good 2-point conversion. It just feels like if we did not have a competent coaching staff, like if we had Gerard Mayo and that coaching staff in here, it feels like we would have lost this game, not necessarily because they're a bad coaching staff, but we would have lost it because they would have gotten away with it. The refs would have gotten away with every call that they tried to screw the Patriots over with. Again, big ups to Mike Vrabel, big ups to Stretch for being able to call out the referees today and making sure that those calls were correct.
I mean, Stretch is such an underrated addition. Like he's the guy that's in Mike Vrabel's ear that's telling him, "Hey, listen, I'm going to need you to challenge this play." That's what Stretch is there for. Situational, telling him what to do in this situation, whether it be throw a challenge flag or not. Underrated addition.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's all of the calls that I have that I thought were just absolutely egregious. Again, Rob, I think if you look at this and it's a back and forth game with, look, these are rough penalties on the Patriots. These are rough penalties on the Saints. You look at it and you say, they're not screwing over the Patriots. It's just a bad refereeing game. Like last week in Buffalo. Last week in Buffalo, the refs were horrific, but they were horrific on both sides. They were not horrific that allowed one specific team to win the football game. This week, it was different. This week, it was all for the Saints. The Saints, didn't have to deal with any of these calls that the New England Patriots dealt with. But Rob, what I want to ask you, because I've had a lot of Bills fans in my chats, in my DMs, just in my activity box all over social media being like, "Oh, karma's a bitch." Well, now you guys know what it's like. Oh, how the tables have turned. What do you believe makes, and I just want to make this quick and we'll get on to the rest of the game, but what do you believe makes the refereeing that went on in today's game different than the refereeing that went on last week against Buffalo when Bills fans were trying to say that they got screwed over?
I think it's just as you said, like it looked a lot more egregious. Like they weren't. I believe they called the game last week as fairly as you possibly can. We had more yards?
Yeah, we gave up more yards.
So it was just like it was more or less. I think it was the timeliness of our penalties during this game. Like it was egregious. It was just like to the point where like I think the difference was you didn't hear like the analysts going, "Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that." Or Gene Stellator saying, "Hey, you know what? That is a fumble." Or it's inbounds or whatever it may be. Like it just seemed like it was way more obvious that like it was a very favorable Saints referee. I don't know, it maybe the check bounced at the end of the game. I don't know.
Yeah, if you look at this game specifically, this Saints game, the New England Patriots had 11 penalties and gave up 65 yards. The Saints had 8 penalties and gave up 67 yards. So they gave up about roughly 3 more yards just due to their penalties. To me, what the difference is that last week, the egregious calls against Buffalo, that came on both sides. Us Patriots fans were saying, how are you missing these calls? What about what we just saw? For example, you had Keon Coleman hit Gonzo after one play in the head. No unnecessary roughness, no warning for Keon Coleman to get kicked out of the game. And then there was a holding on Christian Gonzalez by Keon Coleman last week. Again, though, nobody talked about that. I think that's the difference, is the refereeing all around for both teams was bad. There were big calls that were missed for both teams. You look at this game, and when the Saints were getting called on things, it was obvious things that you couldn't deny. Kyrie's Tonga getting put in a chokehold and getting walked down the field 5 yards, and the Saints are getting penalized. Like, yeah, obvious call. No duh. Everybody saw it on the broadcast. You can't miss that. But it felt like the Patriots were just getting screwed over with calls all game. Obvious calls that we, again, just broke down throughout the majority of this live stream. I think that's what's different, is that, again, if the Saints were getting penalized for BS stuff all game long, just like the Patriots, then we would sit here and we'd say the Patriots didn't get any, they didn't get screwed over. It was just the refs being bad. But when you're only making those calls on one team all game long, yeah, that's what's different about the penalties, and that's what's different about the referees. I mean, even if you want to look at this specific stat here real quick. So this is per Mike Reese. So this is per ESPN of Mike Reese's ESPN. He says, the Patriots have had 113 yards and a touchdown wiped out by the refs from offensive pass interference calls. By the way, pretty much every single offensive pass interference call was not correct by the refs. So that's what's different, is you can see just how much it wiped away from the New England Patriots. So look, at the end of the day, I don't want to keep talking about the refs, and I don't want to keep, hindering on that Bills game. We're moving forward. The Patriots through 6 weeks are now 4-2, heading into week 7. And that is all that matters at the end of the day. So, Rob, we're going to transition on back to this game. Looking at how Drake May performed in this game, he goes 18 for 26, 261 yards, 14.5 yards per throw, 3 touchdowns, another game with 0 turnovers, sacked 1 time, and another rating of a 140.1. He also led the Patriots in rushing yards, 9 attempts, 28 yards, 3.1 yards per carry, and a long rush of 20 yards. What were your thoughts on him today?
This was probably his best game, if not for like I just said, the refs. He was 11 for 13 for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half. Like, he was in his bag. Obviously, the Saints tightened the screws in the second half, if that's what it is. But the guy, I think he's figured it out. I think things have slowed down for him to the point where he's not, like, you go and look at him, and like in the past, he wouldn't take the sack. He was taking the sacks, and albeit like a lot of them, I'm like, oh God, I can't believe he just got sacked. But before, he wouldn't take the sack. He would throw the ball in harm's way, or try to make some kind of hero ball throw. He was throwing the ball away quite a bit. I mean, his first incompletion was him just basically lofting it out of bounds. The guy was incredible. Like some of these throws are not. It's not like he's just dumping it off to his running back or doing a screenplay like as Josh McDaniels been known for in the past. No, he was launching it, And I'm a little bit sad because this is a game where I thought that he could have had like 5 touchdowns. I think a lot was taken away from him. There was a lot of meat on the bone that because of what transpired. And I'm not going to talk too much more about the rest, but like it's just like I feel sad for the kid because this is easily going to be his first 300-yard game, passing at least.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I look at Drake
I'm like
May
disheartened, man.
I look at Drake May in this game, and he just continues to pick up where he left off each and every single week. And I don't think that this is a great Saints defense, but they got a pretty legit defensive line.
They're 11th against the pass.
They got good linebackers, right? And Kool-Aid McKinstry has really gotten better every single week. He had a really, really good game in the Saints win against the Giants last week. And so you knew it wasn't going to be necessarily this walk in the park. But I felt like the pocket was collapsing a lot on Drake May in this game. And they did something different this week than they did last week. I felt like against Buffalo, they were flushing Drake May out of the pocket a lot as just part of the designed offense specifically in that game. In this game, we saw some of that, but I felt like we saw Drake May sitting in the pocket a lot more. And when we saw Drake May running or we saw Drake May get out of the pocket, it wasn't necessarily that was the design of the offense for this game or that was the design of the play, but it was more specifically Drake May is actually under pressure. Drake May is getting outside of the pocket in order to extend the play right now. And the biggest thing about him for 2025 was we want to see Drake May make those plays, get outside the pocket awareness, avoid the pressure, avoid the sack, but get out to extend the play, but not run immediately. We want him to keep his eyes downfield. And that's exactly what Josh McDaniels has been preaching for him all offseason. And I thought that this was another really great example of him doing just that, getting outside the pocket, running, but keeping his eyes downfield. And when nothing's there, that's when he would run. Demario Davis felt like he was the spy for Drake May a lot in this game. Demario Davis, a really, really good linebacker for the Saints. And there was a lot of times where Demario Davis, really good closing speed, comes in on Drake May, who's outside the pocket. He's looking downfield, trying to make something happen, but nothing's developing. What does Drake May do? I mean, he's trying to stiff arm Demario Davis, a veteran linebacker, a massive veteran linebacker, but Drake May realizes, okay, I'm getting close to the sidelines here. I got to throw this thing out of bounds and live to see another down versus what we saw so many times last year. And even in the preseason a couple of months ago, where Drake May would try to dance around the defender, would try to hit him with the stick move. And now he's flinging the ball everywhere. And now he's getting strip sacked. It just feels like you see that development. You see him getting better and he knows when to just simply live to see another down and throw the football away. And I think given what his issues were last season and even at points early this season, I think that is a big step forward for him. Like we said, another game where he just has not turned the football over.
I just think it's the fact of the matter. He's not putting the ball in harm's way.
Yeah.
More times than not, you're thinking, okay, that maybe there was one throw all game that was like, okay, yeah, that was kind of risky of a throw. But other than that, he's taking what the defense is giving him. That's what Tom Brady did in Josh McDaniels' offense for years. This kid is still on pace to have the best QBR and completion percentage on the road ever. Aaron Rodgers in 2011 had a 122 quarterback rating, and I don't know what the quarterback rating is right now, but it was 129. I believe he had 140 today, so obviously it's going to go up. So he's on pace to have the best QBR on the road ever. He also is on pace to have the greatest completion percentage on the road ever. He was at 77% coming into this game. He's probably going to be around 74, 73%, but that's still more than Joe Burrow's 68% that he had. So this kid is he's special. He really is. Like we said coming into this game, this is a very good Saints defense. Yes, they can be susceptible to the run, but this is the 11th ranked passing defense. They can really lock down on us. And he really just was threading the needle all day. And when he had the opportunity to use his legs, it's like he had eyes behind his head. He wasn't putting the ball in harm's way where someone could force a fumble on him. It goes to show you a lot of those things that you saw in the past with last year where he was turning the ball over frequently. It's almost like it. I'm knocking on wood right now. It might be as an issue of the past because right now he has 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And here's another thing. Stop comparing him to Josh Allen. I'm tired of hearing it. Josh Allen at this point of his career was not Drake May. Not even. I'm putting the dollar in a swear jar. Not even fucking close. It wasn't fucking close. Josh Allen in year 2 was 58% completion percentage. He had 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. If we're going to go based off that, Drake May's going to fucking lap him. He's not Josh Allen 2.0. He's not just, I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing, oh my God, he made a Josh Allen rule. Josh Allen wasn't at this point in his career what Drake May is at right now. It was not freaking close. Josh Allen was not at this point until he got wide receiver 1 Stephon Diggs. No offense to what we have on our roster. They're pretty damn good players. There is not a wide receiver 1 on this roster right now. He's doing this with a 32-year-old Stephon Diggs coming off an ACL injury, not even 1 year removed. Keyshawn Boutte, 6th-round pick. Demario Douglas, 6th-round pick. He's throwing to nobody of substance right now, and he's balling the fuck out. This is not a Josh Allen 2.0. This is Drake May motherfucking 1.0. This is Drake May. This is the standard right now. He is on historic pace, not something that could be comparable. A historic pace. Put some fucking respect on his name. He's not Josh Allen 2.0.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that I think you're actually going to like because it backs up everything that you just said. So Drake May is the 4th quarterback in NFL history at age 23 or younger to have 200-plus passing yards and a 100-plus passer rating in 5 consecutive games. He joins Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino, and Dak Prescott. So I think you see some of the very good company that a young Drake May has. And that's, again, like you said, that's without a top 10 offensive line. That's without a number 1 wide receiver. The sky's the limit. And this kid is still young and this kid is still developing. Drake May has finally played an entire season worth of football games, okay? Just 1 season worth of football games. So what can that look like as he continues to get older and he starts to develop a little bit more? That was the great thing about Drake May, is that he was so young, but that's why there was boom or bust potential. If he hit his ceiling and he was developed correctly, this guy had just all the potential in the world. So much untapped potential, which I still believe he has a lot of untapped potential. But if he wasn't in the right situation, he was going to fail. But I think we see that he is in that right situation, and that's why he is starting to thrive on all the potential that we saw from this kid coming out of college. So I agree. Drake May, just another really good game. I feel like we saw a lot of smart play from Drake May, a lot of short to intermediate, but we haven't seen him do what he's best at doing and that is launching the ball down the field. Why? Because one, we wanted him to be safe. We wanted him to be careful with the football, not just push it down the field and hope that something good was going to happen. But there's not really a whole lot of guys that can, get open down the field. But this week they did. Again, Drake May, multiple times he should have had a 50-plus yard throw, right? I mean, you have the one to Demario Douglas. You had the other one to Demario Douglas that got called back. You had the one to Stephon Diggs down the field. And then you had the other one to Matt Collins, where if Matt Collins isn't held, that very well should have been caught because that was just perfectly in the breadbasket, but just off the fingertips for Matt Collins because he was getting held. So nonetheless, I think you see the potential of Drake May. And like you said, should have been his first game in a while there of 300-plus yards. So
I was so upset, man. I really wanted him. Not even just that. He was on pace to have a really historic game. Like, he probably should have had 5 touchdowns this game. Like, really, really increase the case for his MVP season. I mean, I'm not saying that he's the MVP right now. He should be He should be at the very least top 10 right now. But they robbed him of the opportunity to have a really incredible game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Patriots 92 comes in here with a $20 donation. Shout out to my boy Patriots 92. He said, if the Patriots take care of business these next 3 weeks, insane stat, we will be 7-2 heading into our game against the Bucs. Our blowout against the Panthers looks even better now as they've been winning and beat the Cowboys today, which is a really good point. I mean, like, the Panthers have suddenly become what we thought the Panthers were going to be heading into 2025. So that win against them, I agree, Patriots 92 looks a whole lot more dominant now. And look, it's going to be, I don't want to say they won't get to 7-2, but there's always a game here and there where you end up, lacking and losing the game that you shouldn't. You hope the Patriots don't, but that's why it's any given Sunday. But it would be huge for the Patriots to be 7-2 heading into that Bucs game. I mean, for a Bucs team too, that is just absolutely injury riddled right now. We'll see what happens down the line, but right now that team is just filled with injuries, as it feels like they are, every single year. But I think what's even crazier, Rob, is I look at this team and yes, they're 4-2. And I said this before, only wins matter. Only losses matter, right? I don't care about, but like we could have won and we should have won, because that's not what matters at the end of the day. But like, just for a second, I'm going to look at it from that lens and say the Patriots really only lost one game this season that they truly lost.
The Raiders.
That's crazy. Exactly.
And I think that's a lot to do with just a brand new offense, a brand new cast of characters. I apologize for swearing before, guys. I'm very passionate about this team, and that really pissed me off, because I've had to sit back and listen to all the critics say, because I said this last year, this kid was going to be a top 5 quarterback. And you can laugh all you want in the chat, Edward. You're eating crow right now, but you're not willing to accept that. But yeah, I'm upset because they robbed this kid of such a great game. And when you go look at the Panthers game, going back to that, the Panthers they're not as bad. This is another team that's not as bad as the record is. Just like what's coming up, the New York Giants. They're another team that's not as bad as the record says they are. This is a very weird year, Colby, where the NFL is pretty much wide open. Like, it literally across the board, wide open, when you don't have the powerhouse of the Ravens or the Bengals. The Buffalo Bills look like they're susceptible.
The Chargers suck.
The Chargers have always been wishy-washy. The Chiefs are not as good. The Eagles have lost 2 games in a row. Like, this is a very weird year, and I just think that, like, I'm not saying we're going to go to the Super Bowl, but, like, it looks like it could be anybody's game.
And the way that I see the postseason is, in the regular season, it's cool if you go undefeated. That's great and that's awesome. But it doesn't mean that you're going to go far in the postseason or win a Super Bowl. The way that I see the postseason is literally just get to the dance. Just get to the dance, win enough games together. That's all that matters. And once you get to the dance, boy, oh boy, you better put out your best dance moves, because that's when you go big or you go home. And
I will say this. Don't count this team. If we get to the dance, don't count this team out, because they did that against that Patriots team that whooped the greatest show on turf. So, I mean, anything's possible. There's a reason why they call it and they coined it any given Sunday. I'm not saying we're making it there, but once you get in a dance, anything can happen.
Saw that with the Patriots in 2018 when they won Super Bowl 53. But, I mean, if you look at it too, Rob, under Bill Belichick in 2023, all season long, the Patriots win 4 games. Under Gerard Mayo last year, all season long, the Patriots only win 4 games. After week 6, under Mike Vrabel, the New England Patriots have already matched that win total with 4. So certainly looking up, and this is certainly looking like a successful season, nonetheless,
thus far
over the last 2 years.
Yeah, so you have, when you go look across the board, who's really challenging Mike Vrabel for Coach of the Year other than Shane Steichen with the Colts? Let's be real.
That's gonna be a tough one to beat.
Yeah, especially when that team is so good.
That team
that team is so damn good.
But yeah, no, I mean I thought Vrabel was going to be in the top 3. So, and I think he certainly is. I think it's
either him or I think you give the edge to Shane Steichen based off the record, but right now it's just 1-2 Mike Vrabel, Shane Steichen.
Yeah, no, I would certainly agree with that. Christopher comes in here with the $2 donation and says, reps need vision and drug tests immediately. What do you think about that, Rob? Should we just make sure, wellness check, make sure they're okay?
I don't know, man. I did my fair share of cursing. I really feel bad because people are going off on me in the chat. I do apologize.
I saw a comment in the chat earlier, and I can't help but to agree with it. And I've thought about this multiple times myself, even before this game, was with all the money the NFL has, why are we treating these refs like it's a high school peewee football team game. You know what I'm saying? Like, have these guys go to refereeing school, have these guys be tested every single year, every few years, and actually give them a full-time salary to make this a full-time job and be stricter on them for it, and not make this like they're going to Sunday church. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's not even.
let's have these guys be a little bit more strict.
I mean, it's not even just that. When you go look at some of the other things that are happening with this game, do you remember that Raiders game where they looked like when they were looking at the camera view, it looked like something out of a microwave to figure out whether or not he was in the touchdown or not? It was years ago, that game that we got screwed over. They have, when you go look at tennis and the ball hits a certain point, why did it take this long to get these cameras and get these things for them to be able to assess how? Yeah, like you said, why don't they get sent to the school so they're properly educated? These are people that go to become school teachers, plumbers, police officers. I'm not poo-pooing those job titles, but like, if you're gonna make them full time, like if you're gonna take on this job, you need to study it. You need to know the rules of the game. You need to know every minute detail to the game. And I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty of people that will want to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It felt like today the issue was they just like looked like deer in the headlights. It just felt like they didn't know what was going on or what to do. And I do put part of that blame on the National Football League. So, but let's go ahead and let's get into the remainder of these super chats. D comes in with a $2 donation, says this offensive line run blocking is trash. D, we got that segment coming up here in just a second. He also says, Rob, eat your crow. Pop was getting busy today. Rob did eat his crow. He said, you know what? I'll eat my crow and I'll do it gladly. Pop showed out today.
The problem is I'll eat my crow, but a lot of these people that are hating on me right now are the same people that said that Drake May wasn't going to be a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback that I called last year.
I mean, I think the other thing too is like, by the way, I love Pop. And I've been saying, like,
I do too. But
I don't want this to be a situation where we get rid of him and then he balls out with another team, because he can do that. And he's such a good run blocker and he's such a great guy in that locker room. And he doesn't complain. Like, this is a fan favorite. This is a guy you want to keep around. And he's getting open. Like, you just got to figure out, how do you get the quarterback and the wide receiver on the same page? And today was at least a step in the right direction, but now we need to see that consistently.
I was just going to say that. I ate my crow a little early, but I want to see it consistently. Like with Drake May, I wanted to see him not turn the ball over consistently, really put together some games. He's put together some games. That's consistency. This Pop Douglas's coming out party. And honestly, I really wanted him to have that touchdown. I was excited for him. I wish I had a camera for my reaction to watching him getting those 2 touchdowns, because I was screaming.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm at work screaming my head off. Everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. I wanted Pop to do his thing. I really did. And he got kind of robbed of that moment. But I want to see this consistently. I want to see him do this over a period of games, not just one game.
I agree. And guys, we are going to talk about the wide receivers. But first, I do want to get into this running group, because another very disappointing day today. And you know, this is a defensive line for the Saints that like I said, I do think it's underrated. They got Devon Godchow, who us Patriots fans know, like, that guy can make plays against the run, and he certainly did that today. Big body up there in the middle. But this is the worst rushing attack in the National Football League. And I think that's what makes Drake May and this passing offense that's top 10 more impressive, is that they're predictable. They're one-dimensional. And a shout out to Josh McDaniels for scheming things up and finding unique ways to get guys open and making these guys look good too. Big shout out to him. But they're not multidimensional. They're not a multidimensional offense. And to be multidimensional, you got to have a defense respect you over the top, but also respect the fact that you can run the football. And I just don't think that outside of Drake May, defenses respect any guy running the football. I mean, Drake May, again, your leading rusher in this game, 9 attempts, 28 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. Travion Henderson, 9 carries, 27 yards, also 3 yards per carry. Ramondre Stevenson, 13 carries, 18 yards, 1.4 yards per carry. Rob, what were your thoughts on the run game today?
I felt like the passing game, I'm just going to say this. I felt like the passing game was working so well that we really weren't utilizing the run as much as I would like, that we probably could have. That's how I see it. I think that we were airing it out more than because it was working. They flip-flopped on defense. They looked like crap in their guarding our wide receivers and tight ends. But they did well against the run. I just thought of it as like it just looked like it was working, and what ain't broke, don't fix it.
I look at it and I say early on, it felt like there were a couple of good runs, right? And I do agree with you that they're passing the ball so effectively. Maybe they didn't need to run the ball. But the longest run for TreVeyon Henderson was, make sure I get this right, was 7 yards. The longest run for Ramondre was 7 yards. So even those chunk plays from the running backs, they're not there. But I thought that as the game went on and the Patriots needed to run the ball a little bit more effectively, because that's when they wanted to drain the clock. They wanted to run the ball. They wanted to drain the clock. They wanted to dominate time of possession and just get this game over with. And next thing you know, it's Ramondre, stop for a loss of 5. TreVeyon, stop for a loss of 4. These guys were constantly stopped in their tracks behind the line of scrimmage. And I put it on both the running backs and the offensive line. Now, Rob, I actually will say is that the pass blocking or the run blocking offensive line, although it hasn't been great, they're actually better than what people are projecting them. I've seen a lot of people say that, the running backs aren't bad. It's just the offensive line. And the offensive line does certainly, need to do better, and especially in a game like today. But they're allowing these running backs to get, like 2 to 2.5 yards per carry. Like the O-line is getting a little bit of push up front. But the problem is that these running backs also aren't doing anything. These running backs aren't getting any yards after contact. That's the problem. The offensive line is only going to do too much. They're not going to push guys 10 yards down the field so you can get a 10-yard gain. The purpose is to get these running backs out into space enough, and then these running backs also have to create. They have to be able to shake off tackles. They got to be able to put their shoulders down and run through a couple of guys. They got to get yards after the contact. And right now, not only are the Patriots one of the worst overall rushing attacks in the NFL offensively, but they're also, these running backs are some of the worst in the NFL in terms of yards after contact. So again, you can't just look at the offensive line and say it's all on them. It's also on these running backs for not creating. There's times where I'm seeing holes open up from this O-line, and not anything crazy, but I'm looking at, Ramondre Stevenson running into a pool of defenders instead of cutting the football back and running through a gaping hole right in front of him. So again, I think it's fair to say that the offensive line hasn't done well enough in run blocking, but I think we also have to put it on these running backs, both TreVeyon Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, for saying, you guys aren't really doing anything to also help your own case.
Do you think maybe possibly they're in their own head? Because they're trying to not really put the ball in harm's way. And when you go look back a couple weeks ago against the Steelers, I mean, it was a travesty. Our backfield had three fumbles. So maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe I don't think this running back group, this is something that coming into the season was lauded as possibly our deepest group. Outside, I know Antonio Gibson's injured now, but before that, this was lauded as like, hey, listen, this might be our best group out of all the other positions. And I just think that like maybe that got to their head a little bit, and possibly also the turnovers that we suffered against the Steelers. Maybe these things are in the back of their head that like, okay, I don't want to put the ball in harm's way. So, or they're overthinking a lot of their running, and maybe they're not. Maybe their brain's clouded in how they're assessing how they attack the holes and how they attack defenders.
I can certainly see that to a degree, but I think that excuse is more for Ramondre. I do agree that I could see Ramondre being in his head, and that was the problem. And Rob, we talked about that with Ramondre, if he's going to get into his head now, he's going to be so worried about not fumbling that's going to be the priority. The priority isn't playing freely. The priority isn't playing off of his instincts that have allowed him to be as dominant as he is. All he's going to be thinking about is, hold on to the football. Hold on to the football. He's not going to be thinking, let me cut into this hole. Let me cut back here. Let me run through a defender here. Let me just charge as fast as I possibly can through a hole here. So again, I do think that that's an excuse to a degree for Ramondre. For TreVeyon Henderson, I don't think that that's the reason he's not performing maybe as well. I think for TreVeyon, he had some of those same issues in college with, kind of just that ball vision and understanding what holes to hit at times. He was inconsistent at Ohio State doing that. But I also think that even to defend TreVeyon a little bit, he's also a rookie. And I think that the reason he doesn't look as good in pass protection and picking up the blitz, and part of why he also doesn't have that chemistry consistently enough with Drake May in the receiving game is because he is a rookie and he's a tick behind and he's trying to figure things out, which I also think is crowding his judgment on where exactly to be. But nonetheless, all we're going to know heading into the offseason, if things don't get better, is that the Patriots have the worst rushing attack in the NFL. The running backs aren't doing anything to help themselves. It's not all on the offensive line. And although the Patriots used a second-round pick on a running back in this past year's draft, it could be a situation where they go into the offseason and say, we still need to use a premier pick on a running back or need to go into free agency and sign a guy. Because right now, they're not getting it done.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better myself. I just think that like that position, hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. There's still a lot of weeks to be played, Colby. They can figure it out, especially with Josh McDaniels, man. Look, man, coming into the season, I don't know if I didn't want Josh McDaniels. Another time I'm eating crow, people. Josh McDaniels has been in his bag and like so much in his bag. To the point where I don't know if I really have fear with this run game. I think they'll figure it out. It's just maybe it's going to take a little while. All it's going to take is just stack the stones. I think they'll figure it out.
I mean, I think it only takes one game for these guys to go off and kind of have that confidence for things to start working out. But until they show me that game, obviously
exactly.
It's hard to have confidence until they kind of show you they can do it. But shout out to Skunk, who comes in here with a $5 donation. Says, UNC fan here. Great to see Drake May doing work. I don't suppose you want Bill Belichick
nope.
back, do you? No.
Nope.
And the fact that he has
so much
animosity, the fact that he has so much animosity towards the Patriots and he's hurting the players at UNC because of how much he hates the Patriots, and just everything that's going on down there. Honestly, I'm looking at Bill Belichick and I'm saying I think he went to college to try to revitalize his career to come back to the NFL to get an all-time win title. And I'm looking at it right now and I'm saying I think Bill Belichick's cooked. I don't think Bill Belichick can.
I think he lost his fastball.
I don't think that he can coach in college football either. I think that Bill Belichick is not going to have a good college football career run, and it's going to end his football career because I'm sorry, but if you can't perform in college football, you're not going to be asked to come back to the NFL.
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but before Brady, he was 41-55 as a head coach with one playoff win. So, like, Tom Brady saved his career. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I think the marriage of Tom Brady and Belichick was peanut butter and jelly. But like like Skip Bayless says, I would probably give it 70-30 Brady. It started creeping. It started off a little bit 60-40 Belichick, but then it started creeping up to the point where now it's about 70-30. So I don't know. Belichick, I think he's cooked. I think he's lost his fastball. People,
yeah, I agree. I think he's at that.
The NFL's changing in. What happened?
Or 3/4 life crisis, I guess I should say. I think he's just going through a crisis. He's like he's being a drama queen and he's like dating 23-year-olds and like letting her drain his bank account and run his life. Like I don't know what he's doing.
More power to him.
No idea what he's doing. But Rob, to wrap up the offense, what did you think about the receiving game? We obviously hit on Pop Douglas a little bit. Pop Douglas is second for the Patriots in receiving yards in this game. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 71 yards, 23.7 yards per reception, which led the Patriots today. 1 touchdown, long catch of 53 yards. But Kayshon Boutte, the MVP for me today on offense, other than, Drake May, of course. But 5 targets, 5 receptions, 93 yards, 18.6 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns with a long catch of 29 yards. Every single time you needed a play, you went to Kayshon Boutte. And of course, what does he do? He makes those big plays through contact, a defender on his heels. But Kayshon Boutte, with just that strength and that strong upper body, is able to outmuscle the defensive backs and come up with the big plays. So just kind of what were your thoughts there, on Kayshon Boutte today?
Dude, I think he's first of all, he's matured. Clearly has matured, clearly understands what his assignment is in this offense. And he's making plays left and right. Last year he had a couple drops, timely drops, and he would make it up for it like the next couple plays or two. But he's seemingly coming into his own and becoming more of a reliable receiver. And I just love the development. I think Stephon Diggs being in this receiving core, I know we're talking about Kayshon Boutte, but I think his addition to this receiving core is really giving people like Keishawn Butte the opportunity to play within themselves, to be confident in who they are. Because he may not have a C on his chest, but that guy is an incredible leader.
Yeah, I think just the way that we've seen Keishawn Boutte develop, not even as a player,
Truly has.
develop as a person, I think has been absolutely huge. I mean, I think 1 minute you're going from the guy just not understanding the fundamentals of the NFL and only getting 1 foot in bounds instead of 2. And it's like, dude, you're not in college anymore. You're in the NFL. And then the gambling stuff comes out and you're like, maybe we need to move on from this guy. And we had real discussions about that at one time. Is it time to move on from Keishawn Boutte? Do we look to potentially, move on and trade this guy? I mean, Adam Schefter, even leading up to this past year's draft, apparently had rumors that Keishawn Boutte was one of the guys the Patriots could potentially ship to bring in another player and add some extra draft capital. And it's really good that they didn't, because we saw last year he has that connection with Drake May. They just continue to build upon it. He's their number 1 most utilized wide receiver in terms of snap count, just like he was last year. And I think for him, he's not the most consistent player. He'll go out there for 100 yards and then have, 10 yards for the next 2 games. And so if there's anywhere I want to see him do better, it's stringing together a little bit of consistency. But I also said this, that not every single player is going to eat every single week. We can't say, hey,
Nope.
Keishawn Boutte, go for 100 yards this week. Hey, Stephon Diggs, also go for 100 yards this week. Sometimes guys are going to eat. Different guys are going to eat. And that means that someone has to kind of sit back and watch those guys eat a little bit. And over the last 2 weeks, the guy eating has been Stephon Diggs. This week, Stephon Diggs took a step back, and it was Keishawn Boutte, and it was Demario Douglas as the guys that were eating. And like we said, Demario Douglas, another really, really good game too. Should have had multiple touchdowns and over 100 yards, but he goes 4 targets, 3 receptions, 71 yards, and again, 23.7 yards per reception. Stephon Diggs didn't, do bad. He didn't have a bad day or anything. I know 2 offensive pass interference calls, but let's be honest, ticky-tacky really wasn't on him. I don't put that crap on him whatsoever. But 3 targets, 3 receptions, 28 yards. We know that it should have been a lot better if he catches that ball down the field and they don't call offensive pass interference. You got Diggs going for 70, 80 yards, because that was like a 53-yard catch.
I mean, bro, when you go look at this, we should have had 3 receivers. Keishawn Boutte never had a play that was like where it was like there was a penalty or something. So Keishawn had 93 yards. Demario Douglas should have had over 100. And Diggs probably should have had 80. That's 3 receivers upwards of 80-plus yards. Look, I think that I like this. I like the fact of the matter that Drake May feels like he can go to any which one of these guys at any given moment. And one thing, I don't know if anybody's seen when Stephon Diggs accepted his I'm Him award, but this seems like a really selfless group. And it couldn't be any better that like Drake May can play within himself and target whoever the open guy is without anybody being like, oh no, I need to get my touches. Like you said, Stephon Diggs, it was his time last 2 games. Honestly, probably was this game too, because he should have had 70, 80 yards, but that's neither here nor there. But like our receivers, like they're doing the thing, man.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I remember watching that video and it was like they noticed that one receiver wasn't around when Stephon Diggs was getting that award. And Stephon Diggs even said, this isn't for me. Like this is for us. This award is for us. And there was one guy that wasn't in the huddle. It was the entire wide receiver group. And they noticed that Chisholm wasn't there. And they immediately go, yo, Chiz, where you at? Like, Chiz, come on over here, man. Come on, check this award out. So they're noticing when
that was intentional.
And they're telling them, no, get over here. We're doing this as a team. Rob, day and night from what it was last year, this wide receiver group going on social media, posting how unhappy they are that they're not getting work. And now this year, they're coming together and everybody's eating. That's also a testament to Drake May, who even during his time at UNC, Drake May was known for getting the ball to different players, not honing in on one guy, because Drake May said he wanted to have everybody have an opportunity and not just have one guy thrive. So I think you just see everyone come together, Rob, and I think it's
incredible, man.
It fits what McDaniels is trying to do, and most importantly, it fits what Vrabel's trying to do. And I just think that you're seeing everybody come together as a culture because everybody believes in the same thing and everybody's on the same page, from Josh McDaniels to Mike Vrabel to Drake May to Stephon Diggs. You're big time veteran leaders here. It's,
you know what it is? It's and they're just not overlooking opponents. on top of that. So it's a really good, like, this group, this whole roster seems like they're cohesive. They're not overlooking opponents. They're not typing stuff on social media. Mike Vrabel trimmed the fat of what didn't belong on this team. And at the time, we were like, "Holy crap! He's cutting captains. He's cutting all these players." You could kind of see the tea leaves of how this culture is being built. Get a guy like Stephon Diggs. Everybody says that he's a head case, whatever it may be. He's pulling Efton Chisholm. The guy's not over there where he's accepting that award or whatever. Pulling him aside. These are things that, like, I think in the long run is going to consistently, like, this is the culture that we've been wanting to have that we haven't had, because the wide receiver group, what was last year? Is Kendrick Bourne? Albeit he's a go-lucky guy. I love his positivity, but he's not going to go in like Stephon Diggs. That's going to go over to all these other guys because of his pedigree and hold other players accountable. And I think that's just it. Look, this is just going to be a trickling down effect where, like, it's just going to like, everybody that from here on out, whether from Stephon Diggs level to Efton Chisholm, are going to hold each other accountable.
By the way, I'm with you, Keaton. I am a massive Falcons fan tomorrow because then the Patriots take the division.
I'm also a Lions fan tonight.
What are the Lions?
Is it the Chiefs?
Oh, okay. I'm with you on
Chiefs
that one.
Chiefs will be 2-4 if they lose.
Crazy work, man. Crazy work. But Mike also brings up another good point. He also brings up Matt Collins because he got, 2 big-time catches today and also didn't complain. I mean, I think at this point, Matt Collins is kind of just that security
leadership.
Blanket. Once you reach the red zone, Matt Collins is like a guy in the end zone that we've seen them go to time after time. This guy has a few touchdowns already on the season, but nobody really talks about it. He's never going to lead you in receiving yards, but he's a leader. He's going to be a clutch guy, and he's a really, really damn good run blocker. Mike brings up a good point that he had a couple of big-time catches today. Also, nothing that's going to light up the stat sheet, but some big-time conversions. Targeted 3 times. That one catch was on the defensive pass, or the one non-catch was on the defensive pass interference after the Diggs OPI that ultimately wasn't called by the refs. But Matt Collins goes 3 targets, 2 receptions, 28 yards, 14 yards per reception. That's just about what you're going to get from him each game. Nothing crazy, but again, you're getting clutch plays from him. He might only put up, 400 yards on the season, but those 400 yards are going to be 400 yards worth of clutch plays, so you'll certainly take it. But Rob, just any final thoughts here on this offense before we get to the defense?
I think they're sneaky underrated, man. And the reason, yes, because we're putting up points. And this is not against, I get it. You look at the Saints, but like I said, they're 11th against the pass. The Panthers were, I believe they were 9th against the pass. Like the Buffalo Bills were number 1 against the pass. And it seems like there's going to be a guy open, at least one guy open every play. Whether Stephon Diggs, whether there's just so many. This was very, what is the word I'm looking for? Anemic of an offense last year in terms of like who's going to get open? How are we going to get them the ball? Whereas now it's like it could be Hunter Henry's day. It could be Austin Hooper. These are really good players. It could be Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas. There's a lot of players that Drake May can get the ball to that can get open. That's something that we couldn't say for the past God knows how many years, right? And seemingly every other, like, someone's open and we're putting up points. This game we should have put up 40. But this goes to show you like how many times we're putting up points, man. And this is what we couldn't do in the past.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Guys, before we continue on today's video, though, real quick, I'm going to leave a link in the chat for you guys if you guys want to go ahead and check this out. But I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of the video over at Kalshi, guys. I'm having a massively fun time playing with Kalshi this football season and earning some extra money. And the line that I want to look at here via Kalshi is New England Patriots wins this season. Now, you guys can see the trends, and this trend goes all the way back to August 29th when people started to place their bets on the Patriots. Back then, 39% of people had the New England Patriots over 9.5 wins. 28% of people had over 10.5 wins. And you can see how these trends have gone on over time. And the great thing about these odds and these trends via Kalshi is that these are from real people placing their bets with real opinions. These are not made up by Kalshi themselves. And you can look, at one point it took a massive dip when people got scared, but over the last few weeks, it has skyrocketed. And now 85% of people are taking the New England Patriots over 9.5 wins, and 62% of people are taking the Patriots over 10.5 wins. In real time via Kalshi, we are able to see just kind of the thought process and the hype of emotions that people have had for this New England Patriots organization. Kalshi available in every single state. If you're wrong on your take, Kalshi won't make a single cent off of you. They're not a sports book. They're the best damn predictions market on the platform. You can also bet on things such as, is it going to rain tomorrow? Is things such as entertainment, politics, all that good stuff. I'm going to pin it in the chat. Kalshi is my favorite thing to use when it comes to having a little bit of extra fun this football season. And so I hope you guys like it too. Make sure guys go ahead and check out that link. But Rob, I want to talk about the defensive line first, because it feels like the defensive line, that pass rush a little bit inconsistent. And I felt like they were able to get home early on. They ultimately get 2 sacks on the day. But then we saw some inconsistencies as time went on. Are you worried about the pass rush, worried about the D-line at all? Because from my perspective, yes, they need to work on consistency for sure. But I think what we also have to remember, because I saw a lot of people freaking out in the live chat, like, oh my gosh, where's the pass rush? He has a clean pocket. Spencer Rattler is known for getting the ball out in a split second, and your pass rush can get there in 1.5 seconds, which is well above average for what is expected. I mean, the average time to throw for quarterbacks is like, what, 2.3, 2.5 seconds. But at the end of the day, even if the pass rush gets home in 1.5 seconds, if Rattler gets the ball out in 1 second, the pass rush is negated. It doesn't matter. So just in general, what were your thoughts about the pass rush today?
I mean, at one point in time, I know the fans that were listening in, at one point in time, they said that Spencer Rattler had like a 2.1 time of release. Now, the time of release that's per the average is about 2.65 seconds. He was like that's lightning quick. So you can't really, I thought that they got enough pressure for what it's worth, because the guy was getting the football out like immediately. Snap, drop the back, throw it right away. And I don't expect like how fast you want the defensive line to get to him. So he was doing his thing. The guy was getting the ball out. Like that Saints offense has studs across the board. They have a good offense. So I thought they did all right for what it's worth.
Yeah, I think the other thing to remember too is that they have injuries. And I think when looking at this defense, that's probably one of my bigger concerns, is that injuries are certainly starting to pile themselves up. And Rob, I don't want to give away live on air a guy that I think that they can trade from. I'm going to text you behind the scenes because I want this on record, but I also want you to start looking into this guy, because I think this could be like a low-key name that the Patriots could trade for off the edge at the trade deadline. But I wonder if that's a position where they look to target, is edge. Because edge hasn't been great for the Patriots this season, and even then, they're very, very thin. Caleb Chason dealt with injuries this season. You had Harold Landry go out in this game, looked pretty bad. Kyrie's Tonga snapped his knee in half, goes into the blue medical tent. They offer him a knee brace, and he goes, nah, I don't want it. Ultimately powers through, comes back and plays the rest of the game, which is great. But we've seen Harold Landry on the injury report so far this season. Also, Keon White not in this game with an injury. Even then, he's been absolutely horrific this season anyway. Anthony Jennings also not playing in this game, as he also deals with an injury. So I think that when you look at these injuries and you look at depth, edge definitely could be a place that the Patriots do look to add at the NFL trade deadline, because when Landry did go out, the Patriots didn't have another edge to put there, really. I mean, I know they elevated Truman Jones, but it felt like the guy that they asked to play off the edge in response to Landry leaving the game was Milton Williams. And Milton Williams and Barmore can play the edge a little bit, but if you're asking them to play the edge, now you're taking away what is so dynamic in Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in the interior. And you have Kyrie's Tonga, who certainly upgraded as a pass rusher, but Kyrie's Tonga and Barmore in the middle with Milton Williams on the edge still isn't as good. Ideally, you want Barmore and Milton Williams working side by side in that interior, because that's where all the attention then has to go, is on the interior of that D-line, which allows guys one-on-one matchups on the edge there. So definitely injuries are a bit of a scare. Carlton Davis, third straight game where we've seen him go down at some point with some type of injury.
I did say that, right?
He did, yeah. And we expected this when he was signed, but he did return. That's all that matters. He hasn't like missed a game or missed serious time, but certainly worrying when a guy has to leave in pivotal moments in the game. He left when it was a third down, which thankfully the Patriots didn't allow to be completed or converted anyway. But nonetheless, you want him to be there for those pivotal moments, and not being there does hurt the team.
I don't think he's getting injured every play. I think he's playing through an injury right now. I think he's truly just like, that's just my assessment, because why is it every game he's having to tap out for a couple plays? I don't think he's this susceptible to injuries. I think he's actually playing through an injury. And I think maybe he's going to the sideline, they're taping it up, whatever, giving him whatever he needs to do to get back on the field. I think that's what's happening.
Interesting. So you don't
That's
think
just my assessment. No.
You don't think it's one of those situations where it's like, bro's just soft?
No, not at all. I think he's actually a lot more than that. I think he's actually playing. I think he's playing through something, and he's just really like I think he sees what this team is capable of, and he's like, you know what, I want to be a part of that. Because it's powerful. Like Mike Vrabel's a player's coach, and it's what the cultures that's being built right now that has the potential to have a lot of winning in the future. He wants to be a part of that, and I applaud him for that. And I don't really think he's injured every game. I think he's playing through the injuries.
Okay. Certainly potential for that to happen. He was on the injury report, at times this season, so there's always the potential for that to happen. But what were your thoughts on these linebackers today? Because it feels like Robert Spillane just always around the football. He's been really good at securing tackles. Jelani Tavai didn't really do anything. I'd have to go back and look at the tape, but didn't do anything, crazy today. Had a couple of penalties too, which certainly didn't help. Christian Ellis gave up a couple of big plays. There was that one point that Spencer Rattler got outside the pocket, looked like he was going to rush and try to pick up the yards himself. Christian Ellis bites on it, and then you had Spencer Rattler just dump the football off to Alvin Kamara, who Christian Ellis was defending, and then Kamara goes off for a 22-yard reception on third down, but then makes up for it, obviously, on that forced fumble. So any thoughts on the linebackers?
I mean, when you look at the wide receivers on the Saints and the speed that they have, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like, it's pretty hard to contain that. So I thought the linebackers did all right. It wasn't great. It wasn't really a great game at all from them. But you gotta go with what they it's just like across the board, bend don't break. They did their thing for the most part. I wish they could have done a lot better. Like Christian Ellis had lapse in coverage, Jelani Tavai as well, but I will say Christian Ellis made the play of the game, that when you need it the most, forced the fumble.
Yeah, I mean, you had Alvin Kamara in the receiving game be second for the Saints. He was 5 targets, 5 receptions, 45 yards, 9 yards on average. So it certainly could have been a lot worse. It's not like he went 100 yards on the Patriots, but you knew that's what they were going to do, right? You knew they wanted to check the football down to guys like Kamara, guys like Miller. Miller goes 1 target, 1 reception, 11 yards. So linebackers certainly could have been better, but also thought it could have been a lot worse at that. Even if you want to look at the rushing attack today for the Saints. I mean, I had people in my live chat being like, dude, this is absolutely horrific. And I'm like, guys, calm down. It looks bad right now, but it's the first quarter. Let's see how things go on, because this is the defense. This is the type of defense, Rob, that they'll start off slow, but they play better as the game goes on. And like you alluded to, bend but don't break. They might allow you to drive down the field, but then they're going to hold you to a field goal at that. And I felt like that was a great example today. Kamara goes 10 attempts on the ground, 31 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. Miller, who has been electric for the Saints, who Saints fans are raving about, he goes 8 carries, 21 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. Spencer Rattler actually led them in average yards per carry, 4 carries for 20 yards.
So when you go look at this defense in totality, we still haven't gave up 50 yards to a running back this season. So put that in perspective. A singular running back. I'm not saying by committee. We have not given up 50 yards to a running back this season. That's incredible, especially when you got an elusive, like one of the most elusive backs ever in Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, it's
James Cooks.
it's crazy to say like, oh, we haven't allowed a rusher to go for 100+ yards. Like that's crazy in and of itself. But to say we haven't allowed a premier rusher to go for over 50 is crazy. Again, and you can't say they haven't played good running backs. They've played Ashton Genty. They played Warren, who's a pretty good running back. I think he's underrated. They played James Cook last week.
A-Chain.
They played A-Chain, right? He killed them in the receiving game, but on the ground, he didn't do anything against them. And now Kamara this week, and he still hasn't done anything. So run defense has been good. And I was a little bit worried with Anthony Jennings out because that's their best run defender. And they still stepped up and they still played a great game.
Next man up.
Next man up mentality. And I thought they did a really good job. And a big part of that is definitely a guy that needs to be extended ASAP. I don't know about your thoughts on this, Rob, but Kyrie's Tonga, get my boy signed to an extension ASAP.
Dude, he is such a problem. He's creating pressures left and right, and you can't even run the ball in his direction. Like he is 100%. He's going to get paid. I don't know how much he's going to get paid. Hopefully not too much, but definitely someone to keep around.
Agreed. And shout out to Ford Nation who comes in with a $2 donation. Since I always tell people to relax when other teams score. Exactly. Like, look, if it's really egregious, okay, but 19 points at the end of the day, we know what this defense is going to be. They're so aggressive that it's going to bite them in the butt at times. No defense in the NFL is going to hold an opposing team to 3 points all game long. It's not realistic to think like that. In hindsight, giving up 19 points at the end of the day, like I'll take it. I'll certainly take it. It could be a lot worse. But Rob, wrapping us up here with the defense, what were your thoughts on the receivers today for the Saints? Because first play of the game, Chris Olave with Kyle Duggar in coverage because you don't have Jalen Hawkins in this game. So Kyle Duggar had to play a little bit more. For some reason, they had him going one-on-one.
Oh, my God.
With the wide receiver one of the Saints. So I don't know why they were doing that. I can't even blame Kyle Duggar because Kyle Duggar is never meant to be one-on-one with an opposing team's wide receiver one, but goes 53 yards. And I immediately go, this might be a long game. But ultimately, Chris Olave finishes the day as their top receiver, 10 targets, 6 receptions, 98 yards, 16.3 yards per catch. If you take away that 53-yard play, for the remainder of the game, they really didn't allow him to do a whole lot. They allowed him to go, 30-some, 40-some yards the remainder of the game. He made some plays here and there, but for the most part, they did pretty well at limiting Chris Olave.
I mean, he had timely possessions, though. Like, the guy, he went to Spencer Rattler and Chris Olave were, I believe they said it on the game that, like, they were working on their chemistry together. And it definitely, like, the guy was... He was getting his, man. It didn't matter about like how many catches he got. It was the timeliness of it. And he went to Spencer Rattler. He's like all day, and pretty much anytime he needed to get a good play out of it, he did. Yeah, but like you said, outside of that 153-yard catch, it really was just. It was just getting the first downs. Like it was the back-breaking third downs were trying to get off the field that they just, at one point in time, I think going into the third quarter, there wasn't a punt. So like they were on, that's my biggest concern. I'm sorry for cutting you off, is that they were on our plus side of the field several times. And this has just been an ongoing issue with this team.
If you look at Kamara, he had 45 total receiving yards. But that play that we talked about earlier, where Christian Ellis bit on Spencer Rattler running, which allowed that big play over the top to Kamara, that was 22 yards. Kamara only had 45 yards total. So outside of that one play that Christian Ellis bit on, they only gave up 23 yards to Kamara in the receiving game. And I mean, you look at Rashid Shaheed, he had 6 targets, 4 receptions, 28 yards. And Brandon Cooks, 1 target, 1 catch, 21 yards, which was a really, really, really good conversion by him, by the way, to get low and be able to secure the ball. Johnson, their tight end, who is a very underrated tight end. He's actually a very good tight end that nobody talks about. One of the more underrated tight ends in the league. Patriots struggle against tight ends. We saw that just last week against Buffalo and Dalton Kincaid. He goes
a lot of teams do.
2 receptions, 15 yards, and a forced fumble. So overall, again, in hindsight, I think that Patriots fans were more frustrated because of a lot of the calls by the refs that were switching things up. I think that's what made this a closer game, because when you look at the numbers, the Patriots actually did pretty well as the game went on.
Yeah, I just think that it was also, besides the penalties, it was just a timeliness of like conversions.
Yeah.
So and they're not getting off the field. So like when you got a quarterback that's completing passes at 2 I believe someone said, I can't remember which analyst it was. He said like 2.1 seconds. Do you know how insane that is? That's insane. But that goes to show you, I mean, like, look at this group of characters. You got Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Brandon Cooks. Those guys can get open. That's a good cast of characters. So and it's hard to defend. And I think, yeah, for the most part, our cornerback room bend but didn't break. And if not for the penalties, this would have been a different story.
Certainly. Now, I want to get into special teams here a little bit. Not a whole lot to talk about, but there's a couple things I do want to hit on and get your opinions on here. Andy Borgales, another perfect game for our guy, Automatic Andy, as he's
missed one field goal all season.
His one field goal attempt today he made, and then his 2 extra points today he also made. Another perfect game for him, just getting better and better as time goes on. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about is our big question was going to be, who in God's name, I'm not going to say it again, was going to replace Antonio Gibson as the kick returner? Some people wanted Marcus Jones. The team said they weren't going to do that because they didn't want to gas him out too much, which I totally agreed with. Last week, it was Ramondre Stevenson when Antonio Gibson went down. For obvious reasons, that's not what we wanted. We hear today that Efton frickin' Chisholm is being activated for his first game, or he's not going to be a healthy scratch for his first regular season NFL game. And he was their kick returner today. I didn't think he necessarily did anything. He didn't do anything crazy. Now, I don't mind seeing Efton Chisholm out there as a special teamer. By the way, he was also on the coverage unit. He was also on the coverage unit. So the special teams tackle that they made on the first play to open up the game on the kick return for the Saints, the tackle was made by Efton Chisholm. And I immediately thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not saying Edelman or Chisholm's going to be Edelman, but that's exactly how Edelman came up. He didn't just come up getting snaps on offense immediately. He got his snaps over time on special teams, made his name heard, started to get snaps on offense, and then the rest is history. Edelman became Edelman, and right now that's exactly the route that Chisholm is taking. Again, didn't think he did anything crazy today, but if he can make some plays as a gunner on special teams, he can be good enough as a kick returner, then he's going to be a guy who is activated every single week and maybe start getting some potential usage there on offense. But he goes 129 yards today in the kick return game, averaging 25.8 yards per return, which, again, it's not bad. It's pretty good, but it's not anything that is like, wow, Efton Chisholm might be an all-pro return man. Any thoughts on Chisholm?
I think he's just getting his feet wet and preparing for the possibility if someone was to go down, because you never know. This league, it's week to week. You could lose a couple wide receivers, and if you're getting the kid some opportunities, at least he won't go into a game where he hasn't played a snap at all. So he did rip off one good one, right? I believe it was like a 35 yards. It was.
Yeah, there was one like pretty good return early.
So I don't. It's him getting his feet wet. I'm not really putting too much stock into it, so I'm not worried about it. But I think he'll be fine. It's just we got to figure out who. Do we keep him at kick return, or do we go somewhere else? I don't know, because it didn't look like he had enough pop to be a kick returner today, if I'm being completely obvious.
What do you think about the argument? What do you think about the argument that he should be playing more? That Efton Chisholm should get some snaps for the Patriots on offense? Is that something that you think should happen? Because keep in mind, if you're putting him on the field, you got to take someone off.
Look, man, at the end of the day, we're averaging nearly 30 points a game. Over the last 3 weeks, if not for today, where obvious reasons why we didn't put up 30. You don't want. If I'm under the impression that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't want to go and put him out there and possibly hurt his confidence or take away snaps from other. Look, before coming into this game, we would have said, hey, listen, let's bench Pop Douglas. And then he does this. So do I want to throw him out there and throw him to the Wolves? Not yet. I think this is his opportunity to develop behind the scenes and become a better player, better pro. And that way he doesn't have to feel like there's so much pressure on him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the only way Chisholm gets on the field is if there's injuries. And I don't think you want that to happen because right now this team is gelling well, and you don't want to mess that up. And you see Kyle Williams getting more and more playtime every single week, but we're still seeing that that's a work in progress. So if Kyle Williams is a work in progress, I can only imagine where Efton Chisholm's at. I mean, he's probably also a work in progress with Drake May because we saw Chisholm go off this offseason, no pun intended, but we didn't really see a whole lot of that with Drake May, right? So I think you still are having that develop behind the scenes. And we're hearing that that's exactly why we haven't seen much of him is because they are asking him to develop more. More specifically, as an outside wide receiver is where they're wanting him to develop more. And they said he's doing really well, but maybe he's not there just yet. And I think right now you don't want to throw guys out there and force a connection or force chemistry because next thing you know, there's a pivotal third or fourth down conversion in a game for the Patriots to win. You got two rookies out there, and now all of a sudden you're not converting because you took off a Stephon Diggs or you took off a Matt Collins that probably could have come up with that play. So right now, again, unless there's injuries, I'm not going to force Efton Chisholm in there just for the sole fact of, hey, I'm interested. I want to see what he looks like. You know what I find interesting, Rob? You know what I like? I like to win games. I like to win games. So the time will come. If he's performing and he's balling, his time will come. I'm not going to force it.
I don't even see him this season
into his NFL career.
Yeah, I just don't see him getting play time this season. Like it for what are like right now. Like I still don't even think that this wide receiver core is at its peak, and that's scary to me. I think that this wide receiver core can be really, really good. Because of how Josh McDaniels is scheming up the offense. So why throw a wild card in there that hasn't really gotten any snaps in 6 weeks? He's undrafted free agent. Let him earn his stripes. Let him learn what it takes to be a pro. He has a good person he's learning under in Stephon Diggs. He's got other people that he can go to learn the game of football, how to play as a professional. So like I don't want to push him out there and then he gets his confidence shaken. It just doesn't make sense to me. And if we were struggling in the receiving core, we weren't getting points or it's just not getting separation, then maybe you might be able to make the case. This is really going well. Like you said, Matt Collins, he's sneaky under the radar, getting touchdowns, making plays when you need him to. Pop Douglas, this game. Keishawn Butte will have games where he pops off. Stephon Diggs, obviously, the last 2 games before this, working his way back from the ACL injury. Like, who are you going to eat into? Like, I think if there was an opportunity, it was before this game, before Pop popped off and put an Efton Chisholm. That was the only time. Now that what Pop put on the tape and what he's capable of, that kind of wipes that slate clean in terms of like what we can do as far as Efton Chisholm. At this point, just keep on working with what you have, because you don't want to put Drake in a situation where he doesn't know if he can rely on a guy with his crucial third down. He's looking at all these guys now. He's like, you know what? If I throw this football to this guy, Matt Collins did it a lot this year, has done it a couple times this year. Keishawn Butte did it a lot today. Stephon Diggs has been routinely getting crucial catches, and Pop Douglas today, obviously. So who are you going to eat into?
Yeah, I think Mike makes a good point. Just a lot of guys are ahead of Efton Chisholm. But guys, let's go ahead and let's bring on the Patreon members before we wrap up the show, and let's bring on our boy DTN. What's going on, man?
Doing good. I just got one thing to say before I give my take. 3 blind mice, 3 stooges. Screw the refs. Drake May has come to play. We went to New Orleans. You know that reference? Because this is what it reminds me of. The refs are like the 3 stooges. It's like dumber, and dumbest, and we still managed to beat them with Drake May yet again having another QB performance, which I really love to see. And I gotta tell you, I understand the 2023 draft class may be okay. At least they showed out with moments of brightness, like Keishon Booty. I'm like, holy cow, 2 touchdowns from him. I'm like, I was really impressed with Keishon
By
Booty.
the way, Keishon Butte, Pop Douglas, drafted by Bill Belichick. Just saying that.
And what the best part is when I saw that our 2 LSU Tigers, Keishon Booty and Will Campbell, returned to New Orleans, I knew that they had something to play for. And when I saw their touchdown celebration, I knew I saw Big Country dancing during their touchdown celebration, giving a dedication to the late Kyron Lacey. May he rest in peace. But man, that was one of the best passing offensive games I have seen ever. Granted, I was a little skeptical about the defense, but that's only because we made Spencer Rattler look like I don't know anymore. But then again, we did prevent them from him from passing touchdowns to holding them to field goals, which I was okay with. But at the same time, we need to do a better job on defense. I couldn't tell if we made Spencer Rattler look good, or is it because I wouldn't say lack of discipline, but I couldn't tell if it was lack of urgency or something like that. You can tell me, guys.
I think he's a good quarterback, and don't overblow the word good. I think Drake May's a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. The guy's not going to put the ball in harm's way. Before coming into this game, he had 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. The guy was playing pretty damn good, comparable to at least that number to Drake May. So he's not, and this offense that we went against the Saints, they don't turn over the ball. Coming into this game, they had 3 turnovers, which was tied for top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah,
so
I look at him, Rob, and I see a guy that I think will be in the league for a long time. And I could see him hopping from multiple organizations to organizations and getting traded multiple times. I don't think he's ever going to be a franchise quarterback. That would surprise me. I don't think that you look at him and you say, all right, you know what? The Saints, when they have a top 5 pick, if there's a quarterback on the board, they don't go quarterback. They got to build around Spencer Rattler. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that he's good enough to spot start in this league. And I do think he is going to stick around. I don't think he's someone that's going to be out of the league in a couple of years.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. But what really pissed me off, it was not because of the defense. It was actually because of the refs. This is the same officiating crew that has done a shitty job with that Broncos-Eagles game last week, where I couldn't tell what the hell is going on with this officiating crew, but I knew something fishy was going to happen with this officiating crew led by Adrian Hill, who, in my opinion, is definitely a stooge, not a referee at this point. He should not be a referee moving forward. He should be down in San Quentin digging rocks, kicking rocks, or even better, because he doesn't deserve to be the head referee after that shitty performance. But that doesn't matter. We beat the shit out of him. I think this officiating crew should be fired. I don't know what is going on with this particular officiating crew. I thought Brad Allen was one of the worst referees in the league, but Adrian Hill is the worst. And surprisingly, we have done a better job of negating these penalties, but I think those offensive penalties were 3 blind mice not knowing what an offensive pass interference is. That's my opinion. What are your guys' thoughts?
What about your winners and losers of this game? I mean, we got to hear those.
Oh, definitely. So as much as I want to give Drake May praise, I don't want to put too much play on him because he would have been cocky. But then again, I love Drake May's performance. But I want to say my first winner is Keishon Booty. After all, this is his. I would not say his hometown. Then again, he did play for LSU, so it meant so much to him that he's playing on his home turf since LSU is in Louisiana. My second winner on defense has to be Harold Landry. It's between Harold Landry and Marcus Jones because Harold Landry scared me to death with his injury at one point, but then surprisingly came back. By towards the end of the first half, he got his first sack, which made me really happy at this point. And then my third winner, I want to go with Efton Chisholm. I finally love seeing some Efton Chisholm action because I know everybody in the Discord chat would be like carrying their pitchforks if we don't see some Efton Chisholm. Granted that we have some better wide receivers than Efton Chisholm, so Efton Chisholm will get his chance, just not at this particular moment on offense. I think he needs to start off on special teams, just like how Julian Edelman did back in 2009. My losers. Oh my god. I want to start off with the run game. Then again, the passing game looked great. I just saw nothing from the run game. Like Ramondre Stevenson, I want to start off with him. Man, he did look better of securing the ball, but he just doesn't have the explosiveness like he did in the past. And I just feel like he's playing not to be aggressive. He's playing to not fumble the ball. And I think that if he continues to do like that, at some point we have to think about should we trade away Stevenson, even though players are backing up Stevenson, which kind of I don't know about that. My second loser is Carlton Davis. I'm sorry, but I don't think he's worth the contract. 3 years, $60 million. I think it's too early to tell, but at this point, 5 games into the season, he is not your cornerback 1A, and you may want to like look into free agency or maybe look into the draft to draft another cornerback alongside Christian Gonzalez, because you can't rely on Gonzalez's health availability to be to dictate the entire game. So I feel like Carlton Davis is my loser, and I don't think the contract is worth it. And then my third loser.
I think you need to put in perspective in man coverage last year, he was top 5. So Carlton Davis, I think what it is, man, he's still like they're still figuring it out on defense. I'm not like I said, they gave up 19 points. I'll take that any day of the week. Yeah, you're going to give up plays here and there, but I don't really like. I'm not going to say he was whether he was worth that, but like at the same token, what the hell else was out there?
Yeah, that is true.
Especially when he is top 5 against in man coverage. So
that is true, and he's coming back from a season-ending jaw injury, so I will give him that. And he missed some time during mandatory minicamp and obviously OTAs, and then obviously slow his way working through training camp. And then my third loser are the Three Stooges, aka the referee officiating crew, because I feel like the officiating crew, this is one of the worst officiating crews I've ever seen, and I want to call them the Three Stooges because they are Three Stooges. They have no idea what they're doing. They're just running around bonking each other in the head, and I feel like this is going to be the last game they're officiating. I don't know what's going on with like New York or how they're going to do this, or Las Vegas is how they're going to do this, but I do not, and I don't ever want to see this particular officiating crew ever again. So here are my winners and losers. And by the way, guys, just a little disclaimer, my channel, NE Patriots Talk, when I was live on YouTube yesterday, we hit 100 subscribers thanks to the generosity from my fellow fans here on this channel, and I can't wait to see more. I can't wait more content on my channel, and especially doing Monday's post-game recap of that Patriots Saints game, and I can't wait for this Mayflower voyage to steer from New Orleans to Tennessee, where Mike Vrabel is gonna have his revenge game after what the owner for the Tennessee Titans has done him dirty. And also, I saw the game while I was in a nor'easter cyclone. I was watching this game while I was in a storm, basically, and I managed to survive through the storm through the next 3. Well, the storm's gonna be like this for the next 3 days, so everybody stay safe, stay dry. Don't get blown away and don't drown. That's all I have to say.
Love it, man. Shout out to our boy DTN in the chat, man.
So I was doing some research to see if like Adrian Hill was or this, and I still have to do some more digging, but Adrian Hill, and then there was Tom Hill on that 2019 Saints versus Rams game. They're not related, but I got to do some more digging. You know that Adrian Hill is a rocket scientist by profession. Maybe he should stick to that.
I feel like there's more important things he's doing in his life than being a ref, and I would hope that he's better at building these rockets than being a ref, or we might all be screwed one day. But I think he should probably focus on that.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe go back to doing that.
Maybe go back to doing that. But Rob, any last thoughts about today's game before we wrap up?
Yeah, 4-2. Let's not overlook our next opponent, but that's definitely a game that I'm sure Mike Vrabel has circled.
Not just that, but I think you see that these players are fighting for Mike Vrabel, that they want to play for Mike Vrabel. So if they know that a game is important to him and means something to him, I think they're going to rally together and they're going to play for him. So I'm expecting a massacre. I'm expecting the Patriots to win well.
It's not even just that, man. I feel like this team can play just about in any situation now, whether it's behind, ahead, games muddied up. And I'm happy that we kind of went through all this. I'm not happy we lost to the Steelers, but I'm happy how this team responded to that. And all these adversities we've gone through up until this point, I'm really, really proud of this team.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. At the end of the day, I'm seeing a lot of people make excuses. I'm seeing people in the AFC East make excuses. I'm seeing Bills fans still attack and still make excuses based off of last week. You see a lot of people doubting the Patriots because I think people are scared. And I think you're seeing that the Patriots are coming up. It's funny to me that people are hating on the Patriots by putting them in the same conversation as the Buffalo Bills, as the Kansas City Chiefs, as some of these top echelon teams in the National Football League. And what people don't realize is that with that hate you're giving the Patriots, you're also putting them in the boat as some of the best teams in the league. So simultaneously, you're also giving a lot of respect to the New England Patriots, which I think says a lot. Excuses are back. People are hating the Patriots again, which means the New England Patriots are back, baby. Let's go.
I mean, people were saying that that was our Super Bowl, so I guess the Bills are now 0-5 in Super Bowls.
Yeah, there you go. No matter how you spin it, we can
so
come right
like
back.
they said that was supposed to be our Super Bowl. Huh. I got all the receipts. So please, if the Falcons win, is it tonight or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Damn it. Dan, you better hope you win. This guy's acting like they're gonna blow them out. He's so wishy-washy. He's so wishy-washy. He sits in front of a camera and says one thing and then does a TikTok and says another thing.
Classic Dan, man. He's in his feels right now. He's in his feels. But you know what? The Patriots are back. And that's all that matters, man. And I think at this point, it can only be up for this organization. So a lot to still happen. But nonetheless, I think if you're a Patriots fan, you feel very confident about where this team is headed. Now 3 back-to-back wins. Next up is the Tennessee Titans. We'll have that preview for you guys on Friday. Of course, I'll be dropping content before that throughout the week here on Patriots Global. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on your way out. That supports the channel tremendously. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you follow on Twitter, hit that link in the bio to come on over to YouTube and also subscribe so that you can get notified every single time I post a short, go live, or post a regular video. Also, make sure you guys go ahead and follow Rob over on Instagram, best content over on Insta at Patriots7, like you see right down there with his handle. And of course, if you like what Rob's doing, you want to support him in any way, shape, or form, make sure you guys go ahead and check out his Cash App, which is also right next to his name. But until next time, we appreciate you guys so much for watching, and go Pats.
Let's go.